Japanese driver, Katayama, who's co-driving that car with Jeff Leeds. Certainly having some difficulty, I guess, has to carry an interpreter around in the pit area so he can understand just about everything. Speaks very little or no English whatsoever, but and thoroughly enjoys the circuit here.
There are 4 drivers from Japan. Yoshimi Katayama is one. He's heading the Craven Wild racing car, which he's sharing with Jeff Leeds. And earlier, Mike Raymond was speaking with Katayama under some difficult circumstances.
This is Mr. Yoshimi Katayama. He's racing on RX3 of Craven Special Mild car. 片山さん、何年ぐらいもうレースされてますか？19年。He's been racing for 19 years. And それで今どんな車日本では乗られてるんですか？サバンナとツーシーターと両方です。He's been racing RX3 Savannah, Mazda, and sports car. ここのサーキットについてどういうふうに感じられますか？なかなか難しいし面白いコースです。Very difficult circuit, but it's very interesting. He's very anxious to race it here at Bathurst.
Has he been surprised with the bigger cars, the V8 cars?
こんな大きな車たくさん見てびっくりされましたか？別にヨーロッパでしょっちゅう耐久レースやったから別に。Oh, he has an experience in Europe for long distance, so it's not something new to him.
Is it a difficult track?
難しいコースですか、ここは。結構難しいコースですね。Pretty difficult, he says. Yes.
Is it a track that you don't make too many mistakes on?
ここはあまりたくさんな間違いができないサーキットだと思います。そうやね。You think so? Yes.
Well, we wish you the best for a very successful run.
どうぞお元気で頑張ってください。
Katayama then, I think he was fairly explicit about the circuit is one that you don't make too many mistakes on, and he's been throwing the little Craven Mile Mazda around with plenty of verve here since the events started this morning. That's the number 42 car on your screen going up Dunlop Mountain straight at the moment.
He just waved past the Doug Chivers car, the third of the Bill Patterson entries. You may have seen the very quick and correct gesture to indicate which side of the car Chivers should pass on. So we have Alan Moffat, the leader on lap 57 of the Hardy Ferodo 1000.
I wonder what's going through Alan Moffat's mind at the moment as he leads the charge for the $100,000 Hardy Ferodo race this year. With Colin Bond, his teammate, settled back in second place. We've yet to see Jackie X, one of the world's great drivers, in action in this particular car. We'll see that occur at Moffat's next pit stop.
He has Alan Grice behind him, thereby resuming the challenge, or Frank Gardner rather than the Alan Grice car, but that is in fact 3 laps behind, having made several pit stops. Frank Gardner at the wheel, he's 3 laps back. Dalhousie goes down the straight, the little Golf, as you can see. Going quickly, Dalhousie races the VW Sirocco, which was the first of this modern shape VWs to come into the race. And Colin Bond brings his car into pit number 2, right at the start there. You can see the tyres ready for a change. He went a little bit beyond where they expected. The taller figure of Alan Hamilton now looms into sight outside the door, helps unbuckle Colin Bond. It's a bit hard to pick them when they wear identical helmets, as you can see.
He's done a great job, Colin Bond, setting a good pace.
It's a long spell, 80 laps at the wheel, under the sort of pressure that's been on him. There's Colin, looking relaxed, doesn't look terribly hot, or often they get out with the clothing streaked with perspiration and the driver slightly shaking. But his hands are steady enough to buckle up the 6-point seatbelt for Alan Hamilton. The pit marshal signaling that the car is coming in. As you can see, the door a bit vulnerable there. One of the Mazdas goes pumping by up the pit road. Fuel still going in the rear of the car. Bond just helping Hamilton, who is a taller driver, to adjust himself and to lock himself into place with the seatbelts. Well, we have right here up the top of the circuit, a BMW just limping along, and he's going to be lucky to get to the top. He's just come through the BP cutting, and he's now coming up to a part of the circuit where it flattens out. He may be able to go a bit better. This is up to Phillips Curve. It's the Lucas Ward car, you can see. One of the many 2002s. Car 68 was Milton Leslie and Phil Lucas.
Now we have Alan Hamilton strapped into the car. Carol Smith, the crew chief, you can see in the slouch hat to the left, making sure none of the rules are stepped over in this very critical pit stop. And, Now Carol Smith has got involved a little more than just standing back there.
Are you around there, Kerry Luckins?
Yes, I am, Evan. One drama here is that they have only just noticed that the windscreen wiper on the driver's side was completely askew. They've just ripped it off. At the last minute, they lifted the bonnet and put in another quart of oil. There have been 4 tyres and I think 5 tunes of fuel. And Alan Hamilton is off in the number 2 car for the Moffat Ford dealers team.
But in the meantime, back with Moffat and his car, we've now got the intriguing sight of Jackie X out in the car for the first time in the race. He has one of the Bill Patterson cars. I don't think it's the Brock machine. We'll try and pick up the number because they're all painted the same way. And he's got himself a fairly fast car on his tail, but he's pulling away from it already, even though X is out on the circuit for the first time. A thorough professional. I'm sure he would have learnt the circuit here pretty quickly. He has a reputation for being a fast man where conditions are difficult. He revels in the rain. He is a fast circuit specialist. Has put in sensational times at Le Mans and Spa and such circuits where the speeds are truly high. And Jackie X, I would think, would probably be the most accomplished driver here on the circuit. Well, there's the leader, by the way, in Class 2, the 2-litre class again, smoking rather severely, the Stevens car. And there's John Harvey handing over the wheel to of car number 14, which is the number 1 car there, to Wayne Negus, the tall West Australian driver. Harvey's had a long spell as well. Kerry Luckins right alongside him. We might be able to snag Harvey. We'll just forget about X for the moment and concentrate on this change. Kerry, everything going according to schedule, no signs of problems with the
once
car
again, the professional-looking crew taking no undue risk, not doing anything silly. The driver, Harvey, just talking to Wayne Negus, explaining obviously what parts of the track to take particular note of, whether the brakes are a bit dodgy or whatever. Unfortunately, Alan Moffat is just too exhausted right now to talk to us, but we hope we will be able to in a short while. And as you suggest, we'll try and grab John Harvey in just a moment.
While we're watching there, Kerry, news from the back of the pits is that the Jack Brabham car is having its rocker gear changed. We saw it go into the pits a little while ago, the Falcon. Jack and Jeffrey have been driving. It'll be about 15 minutes before he's back on the circuit again. So that's what's happened to car 4. Not a good day for the John Goss entries, eh?
John Harvey, standing back there, now removes his helmet. You can see, although it would be unfair to compare Harvey's composure at the moment with Alan Moffat, because Moffat has been up changing the lead and taking the lead back and trying to dictate everything from the seat of the car. But Johnny Harvey just appears quite unruffled, walks across to the pit counter, puts the helmet down, takes a shot of soft drink, and probably will be ready shortly to talk to Kerry Luckins.
I think Kerry might be able to intercept him fairly quickly if you're in that area, Kerry. He looks in a reasonably composed state.
We also have Peter Brock, or Phil Brock has just come into the pits, and Peter Brock now to go back into the car, and we have the Goss Pescarello car back into the pits for some more oil. It hasn't been John Goss's Bathurst so far, with a number of pit stops, very, very lengthy ones indeed. And of course then the second car, the second stud collar 2SM car, also in trouble at the back of the pits.
Trouble here at the rear end by the look of it. They were, you can see there. The fellow need a gas mask to get in there to see what the problem is. Are you on hand there, Kerry Luckins?
Yes, I am. They're putting oil in the diff, and it's a very, very hot diff that they're putting the oil into. I've got John Harvey with me now. John, what is the problem with the diff?
I don't know. I didn't have any problem on the road. I didn't realise there was anything wrong with it. It was working fine out on the road.
It seemed to be looking good until you came in. They put some oil in. Perhaps it's just that it's overflowing.
Some indication when I come in, but out on the road there was nothing. It was just running beautiful.
Prior to that, were you happy with the way you were going?
Big bad?
Prior to that, were you happy with the way the car was going?
Oh, yeah, I got a slight brake problem. The brake pedal's on the floor, but as long as you keep pumping it, it'll stop all right. But the last few laps was starting to fuel surge, and the engine was cutting out down the straight for about 100, 150 yards. On that last lap, it cut right out, and I didn't think it was going to start again, but it got going, so I come straight in the pits. So there's only one lap before I was due to come in anyway.
What do you anticipate that problem was? They haven't looked at the engine yet?
No, the engine's running fine. Beautiful. No worries.
Fine. Well, best of luck, John. I hope this is going to be too long a stop and going to put you further behind.
Well,
Kerry, I wonder before Johnny goes whether he can slip the headphones on. He's finding it very hard to hear, whether we can have a chat to him, eh? Evan Green here, John. The pace seems to be furious, and we noticed with Alan Moffat and yourself that there's quite a physical toll on the drivers. It must be an exhausting race to drive.
It sure is. Like, I'm wringing wet from head to foot. The circuit's fairly slippery up on the top, and you've got to really watch your P's and Q's, and you're working at it all the time to keep up the pace that we were at, which, you know, is not really straining the car, but the condition of the circuit and to keep that pace, we're really working at it. And, you know, I'm feeling a bit weary at the moment. I'm welcome the break, I can assure you.
Well, everyone's been talking about whether the cars can last, but maybe the question we should be asking is whether the drivers can last.
Well, I'm quite sure the cars will last, although I've had to get some problem here that I wasn't even aware of myself, but I don't know how long that's going to cost us, but I'll certainly do the distance, no question about that. It's just I'm a bit weary now that it's finished. Once you're in the car, you don't even think about it.